Hello, welcome back to the Yamaha synthesizer area of the Yamaha booth here at NAMM 2019. I'm here again with part two. You get a two-part interview with Nick Semrad. He just walked off of one of the meanest sets I've ever heard. It was killing. It was killing. So part of the thing we're going to talk about that's killing about Nick, and the first interview we did, we were talking about kind of the CP and how he's been using Yamaha gear for his year that he's been artist with us. Now we're going to switch over to kind of just some techniques and stuff. And the one thing that I love about your playing is not only do you play the instrument, but you do things with the controllers to achieve this really unique sound. Can you just talk a little bit about the idea behind that?
Yeah, I basically want really quick access to do strange things momentarily. You know, and I've talked with you about this before, but just about having these kind of automation production tricks that you can just access really quick. You know, a lot of times on boards you have to turn a bunch of knobs and change patches to get something else. And, you know, I usually will take one patch that's really simple, like the most basic whatever patch, and put 3 or 4 different things on it that I can kind of make tricky. Yeah, and it's slightly upsetting to some people because they're like, "What's your patch?" And I'm like, "It's a Rhodes." Yeah, just a Rhodes. Just has a lot of extra stuff.
Well, it's really interesting because the approach to me is like there's like a exactly what you say, like a produced sound. Like you're going for a produced sound live and trying to make that so it sounds like you're listening to a produced track, but you're actually hearing it live. So you have all the little tricks that happen, little glitchy things, and the stuff where the envelope changes and the side chaining thing. So I figured that, you know, rather than just talk about this stuff, maybe just demonstrate this stuff and maybe kind of explain how you do this.
Yeah, so why don't I explain some of the things I'll be doing and then do them.
Yeah, and then we'll tell you what just happened.
So
there it is.
I play a lot of electronic music and hip-hop music, and something that's really big in that kind of music, especially modern hip-hop, especially West Coast modern hip-hop, is lots of side chaining that isn't your traditional like pumping four on the floor stuff. Because you can do that with this too. You can set that to be timed and, you know, set the quarter note and everything. But I kind of want to be able to do it with a drummer who's not doing that. You know, if the drummer's going ba ba ba, like I want to be able to copy that. So what I did on this board was I have a really simple Rhodes patch. I call it utility Rhodes. And
that's what
I just have, you know, a Rhodes patch that the very bottom key doesn't play the Rhodes. It plays what ends up being, I put a kick drum on there. So it's something with a heavy attack, but I mute it, and then I have the kick drum cue a compressor, a sidechain compressor on the Rhodes. So I can play some sort of chord and chain it at will. And the cool thing is that it depends on how hard I hit the kick. So if I want a really soft pump, I don't have to hit the kick that hard.
Right.
But I can also get really aggressive with it too. So.
But the whole trick to this is that you make sure that the kick drum isn't heard.
It's
in the signal.
No one can.
So that's
tell
the
what's
key.
going on.
That's the key that you're looking for. Is that you mute that, but it's still in the signal.
Yeah.
flow.
So that's one thing. I also like doing a lot of weird volume swell. You know, it ends up being almost like a sidechain pump that I can pitch bend with. And because the mod wheel is right next to the pitch bend, I map the volume of the Rhodes patch to the mod wheel.
Oh, yeah.
So I can fade in. I'll do it with 2 hands.
Yeah. You know, I'll I'll take it. Yeah.
So it lets me kind of like fade in while I'm bending things. Sorry, I keep kicking. So I can do that, and then I also have the super knob here mapped to like a really intense reverb. So if I want to, I can just let that thing sit. And the cool thing about that is I can do kind of like space chain stuff. So. And then I also have both of the assignables. I have one of the assignables I think is chorus. Yep. And the other one The other one ends up turning it into kind of a solo patch where it sounds like a synth, but it's actually just the Rhodes monophonic distorted.
Yeah, yeah. So the assignable, you just have that engaging the distortion on that part.
I have it turning the distortion on the amp that's on the Rhodes.
There we
and
go.
The chorus on the amp is the assign one. So again, really simple Rhodes patch, but a ton of options.
Well, okay, so now I want to see you kind of just use them all in a thing. Oh, that's just so awesome. So, you know, the thing, every time I think about this, when you, especially the pitch bend and I think Nebraska, this is Nebraska coming through. That's the pedal steel guitar, man.
I'll tell you a 5-second story. So in Nebraska, all my favorite bands were indie rock bands, because there wasn't a ton of R&B or gospel music happening. So there was all these indie rock bands. So all the cool gigs were guitar gigs. Yeah. And it made me upset. I was like, damn, I got to get some of that. Yeah. And so I just started playing lap steel on keyboard. Yeah. And I figured out ways to pull it off, and like it's pretty close. Like.
No, it does. It reminds me, because one of my favorite guys is Bill Frisell, and Bill Frisell kind of grew up in the same. He went to University of Northern Colorado when I went to school as a clarinet major. So, but he does the same kind of thing, his approach, and he brings it in this more sophisticated, because he's ultra hip and sophisticated and kind of like you. That's awesome. That was really cool. So I know you have one more. You have the. And by the way, guys, it's an electric piano sound. Let's be clear that you're hearing that, but just using it, he's made it into something entirely unique. So, anyway.
So I do the same with my piano patch. And a lot of times my piano patch, I get caught in a weird crosshair of playing churchy piano stuff, but then I also need to get kind of strange for a solo or something like that. So this guy, I have kind of I don't know why I ended up doing this, but it's got kind of a vibe. I have the second assignable as just a really quick pitch jump, so it sounds like a guitar hammer-on. So
oh yeah.
So I can play these lines and throw that in as a rhythm thing,
right.
And it just has a really interesting vibe. And then I do kind of the same thing that the Super Knob was doing on the last patch, where it just gives me a heavier reverb, and then this guy gives me the DX7 if I want to fade in like some other kind of, it just gives me another option.
Right, so this is both AWM and FM.
Yeah, it's got both vibes happening.
Yep.
Yeah, so I'll play this one a little bit.
Yep, cool. That's just awesome.
It's nerdy.
Well, no, it's tricky.
Is
this is the Semrad tricky. It's a nerdy collab.
Yeah.
So, you know, the last thing I want to point out, because I know you do a lot with the envelope control on stuff where you adjust decay and stuff.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I don't know, can you...
Well, so something that if I, for instance, so let's say I'm doing the sidechain trick, but I want to have two hands.
Yeah.
You know, and this is kind of a common synth trick, but the cool thing about this board is that I can do synth tricks to samples.
Yeah.
So, you know, taking a Rhodes patch and rolling the attack off, you know, so wherever you're at, you kind of find the like eighth note or quarter note of whatever your beat is.
Right.
So I can do something where a regular Rhodes patch ends up being changed just every time I play it.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
It's cheating, really.
No, it really isn't. It's really amazing. Wow. Well, I mean, I think I think everybody can watch this now and go and contemplate what you just saw. If you have a MODX, try it out. Check it out. We have articles on YamahaSynth.com that can help you sort of get to these things, like side chaining things, so you can kind of figure out. Just remember, he's doing this live, so you can, rather than do the 4-in-the-floor kick drum, which is a lot of the
which
stuff.
you can also do. You know.
Absolutely, but the live thing is really cool. So, man, I appreciate you so much for the two-parter today and the playing today. Thank you so much. Once again, Nick Semrad here at the synthesizer area of the Yamaha booth at NAMM 2019. There's more coming. I think we have, I think the next one is Manny Fernandez. So if you've been looking at any of those FM articles that Manny's written for Montage and Reface, actually 2 series for Montage, stick around because you're going to see something very cool. If you're interested in FM, you want to see the next thing. So thanks for watching here at NAMM 2019. Have a good one. See you in a minute.